It's the big 3-0 here on the Women of Wrestling podcast here at ringbellsonline.com. Irish Stu Allen, Freaky Lee Burton bringing you the best of women's wrestling audio once again. And Lee, it's second time around today.
Well, sort of, yeah, in more ways than one, I guess. It's second time around in the fact that it's the second time we're going to be interviewing the wonderful Serena Deeb. But then it's also second time around in actually trying to do this actual interview.
Yes, we'll ask her about that when we get her on the show. Hopefully she's happy to talk about that, because she's had her health issues of late. So we're going to get a much-needed health update from her, see exactly what's going on in her life, and talk about what she's been up to really in the last year. We last talked to Serena just after she'd returned to Shimmer the first time after leaving WWE. So go back and listen to the other show in the archives by all means. But this is going to be more up-to-date stuff.
Yeah, we're going to be talking pretty much in just a year. And what a year.
It's been a tremendous one, yeah. She's travelled all around the world. She's... I don't know, kind of been the female Eddie Guerrero, who's, gone from being released from WWE to, traveling the world and experiencing all sorts of cool stuff. And I know she's really pleased and happy that she's been able to do. So again, we'll have a chat about that coming up. And you and I can actually take a bit of a breath now, finally.
Yeah, thank God for that. It's been a busy few weeks.
October was a heck of a month. It really was, between shows that both we were at and shows that we weren't. But it was kind of like what I like to call women's wrestling silly season. We seem to get this every couple of times every year, where basically all the major indie companies all decided to run within the space of about a month of each other.
So we had Femme Fatale, we had Shimmer, we had Pro Wrestling Eve, and that also had Ice Ribbon there as well.
Yep, and it looks like the whole thing's going to happen again come next March. People are already getting their dates out there for next March, and it looks like everyone's going to be running across the space of a month.
Yeah, the most recent announcement is the next Shimmer dates for the recordings of volumes of 45 to 48. That's going to be taking place on March the 17th and 18th of 2012.
Which means it's going to be St. Patrick's Day Shimmer.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, Guinness all round.
Indeed. Before that, though...
Or any other Irish stout is available.
There are no other Irish stouts available.
That's a fair point, there isn't.
Before that, we've got Montreal, we've got Femme Fatale. That's going to be on March 10th, where Calamity is going to be defending her NCW International Femme Fatale Championship against Mercedes Martinez.
There's also going to be a certain Serena Deeb there.
Yes, indeed, along with Jazz, both of whom were announced at the last tapings as coming in. So we've got quite a lineup of talent coming up there for that. There'll be Joshi talent as well, no doubt.
Absolutely, and the week before that, on March the 3rd, Women Superstars Uncensored presents their 5th anniversary show, headlined with Mercedes Martinez versus Jessica Havoc for the WSU World title. At the moment, as things stand, it's champion versus champion, because Havoc is the Spirit champion. And then also you've got Sassy Steffi and Alison Kay, the other two members of the Midwest Militia, taking on Brittany Savage and Alicia.
Indeed so, and... well, there's been rumours, now this is yet to be confirmed, but there have been rumours that March 20th in Korakuen Hall in Tokyo will see the return of the Eve versus Ice Ribbon series, this time in Japan. Now, as I say, this has been talked about in passing on 19 Pro, the Ice Ribbon online show, but we're yet to have any official confirmation on dates or indeed who will be involved.
For God's sake, don't start booking flights or hotels or anything like that, because this is all just penciled into the diary at the moment.
Yes, indeed so. So it looks like between the 3rd of March and the 20th of March, say most of the major independent women's wrestling leagues are all going to be running big shows. So look forward to an exciting 2012. But 2011 is not over yet.
2011 is still kicking out some big news for people as well.
Yeah, well, we're still going to talk, obviously, to Serena about the show. But coming up later this month, the 19th, WSU are going to have their pay-per-view, which, as I said, was going to be headlined by Melina versus Serena, which is not happening now. It's going to be Melina versus someone to be announced on the day. And also a women's War Games match on there as well.
Which is intriguing.
Yes.
And then also on the 19th of November is WAWW in the UK. involving a shed load of talents from the UK and continental Europe.
And also one Alison Danger,
who was also going to be there taking on Sweet Saraya.
Yes. So, plenty of stuff coming up still to come this year, and for those who like to travel, as we do, it might be time to start considering what you're going to be doing with 2012.
Yeah, just on some things that have happened as opposed to things that are happening. Our last guest on the Women of Wrestling podcast, Casey Spinelli's had her share of success. Halloween Hell, ECCW's most recent show. She beat Nicole Matthews to become ECCW Women's Champion, so congratulations to her.
Yes, indeed, and we're still waiting for the pictures of her with her belt at work, but I've been assured
Get it done, Spinelli.
I've been assured that they're coming.
Yeah, she made a promise, and by promise, it wasn't actually a promise.
It'll be coming. We'll see.
It's more of an assurance.
We'll see the pictures.
Well, I hope so.
Yes. And what else has been happening? Yes.
Okay, and since the last episode, we've also had the return to TNA of Gail Kim, who's come in, attacked Velvet Sky, going to be wrestling her at Turning Point very soon, and also, most recently on this week's Impact, along with Madison Rayne, manages to win the Knockouts tag titles.
Yes, so it seems to be the operation Get Every Belt on Gail Kim that we possibly can is progressing well.
Too soon?
I don't know. It seems that way. It seems that there was no particular need to give them the Knockouts Tag Team Championships, especially since Brooke and Tara were doing a really, well, I was going to say doing a really good job. That's probably overstating it because
when they were booked, they were doing a really good job.
They were doing well as a team, although the Knockouts Tag Team Championships are essentially worthless.
Unfortunately so, yes.
Yes. But never mind. And it's going to be an interesting test now for Gail. I mean, Gail has, been quite vocal on Twitter and, various other media outlets of late about her hopes and dreams and plans for the future. She's going to have to go in there and have a good match with Velvet Sky. So
on live TV.
We'll see how that goes. She might succeed. If she does, then power of credit to her. But that's going to be coming up at Turning Point.
Well, it's a test.
It's a test, all right, yeah. Also coming up this month on pay-per-view for WWE, it's another match between Beth Phoenix and Eve Torres for the Divas Championship.
Now, the last match was good.
Yes.
It had a decisive finish, unfortunately, which kind of makes you wonder why there's going to be this match. However, part of me thinks this might have possibly could have been an Alicia Fox v Beth Phoenix match, but because her match with Natalya on Raw a couple of weeks ago tanked so badly as far as the ratings were concerned, they decided to go with Eve again.
Maybe. That's an interesting point. I hadn't really thought about it like that, but it's a possibility. I just like to think that they don't really have any great long-term plans for where they're going with the Divas Championship at the minute, and given that Eve and Beth had a probably, for some people, surprisingly good match, they kind of thought, well, let's just go with it again.
I've got no problem with the match happening again. I think it's a bit disappointing that they're having it after such a decisive finish in the first one, but I'm sure it's going to be a perfectly fine match. And the last match was actually one of the best Divas matches in years, so hopefully this one's the same.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, but enough of the news. Let's get on to the rest of the show. And before we bring our guest on, let's get some plugs out of the way.
Yeah, because this is important. We are social media nutcases, and we just wanted to make this point. So we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, and we are on YouTube. So these are going to be so easy for you to remember, by the way. It's facebook.com/ringbells. It's twitter.com/ringbells. And it's also youtube.com/ringbells.
I'm noticing a common thread there.
Don't be confused, though. The Facebook account does say Women of Wrestling. It's still us.
Yes, it was originally named after the podcast. But yeah, check all that stuff out. Befriend us on all of the various media outlets that you can.
Like, follow, subscribe.
Yes. Well, we do put different stuff on each of them as well. I think pretty much all the stuff that we have on Facebook gets duplicated onto the Twitter feed, but there's a lot of stuff goes on the Twitter feed that isn't duplicated anywhere else. So, especially if you're on Twitter or you're on Facebook and you don't follow us on Twitter, please do.
And we're much more flippant on Twitter as well.
It's one way of putting it, yeah.
And get into the occasional argument from time to time.
Yeah, if you want to argue with us, come and argue with us on Twitter. But let's hope you've got positive things to say on Twitter instead. And on a positive note, let's bring on one of the nicest women in wrestling.
Not one of, the nicest woman.
It's Serena Deeb, everybody. Okay, and we're back on the Women of Wrestling podcast with our special guest at this time. She is none other than Serena Deeb. Serena, thank you for coming on the show.
Again.
Thank you guys again for having me on the show.
Well,
pleasure to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you here as well. And we say again, because not only are you a second-time guest on the show, but this is a second-time run-through of this interview. A couple of weeks ago, we tried to do this interview with you, and you said that you weren't feeling particularly well at the time, and you ended up going to the doctor afterwards. And well, there's been a whole lot of stories about you in the last couple of weeks, so why don't you tell us in your own words exactly what happened?
Sure. Yeah, that was a very interesting day. I mean, the timing couldn't have been more ironic. In the middle of doing the interview with you guys, and then just something really felt weird, and I knew that I'm a very stubborn person when it comes to going to see doctors and stuff. So I will try to tough things out as much as I can, but that day I just knew that wasn't an option. And so I got over my stubbornness and made the call and rushed to the doctor. And, that's when I found out that there was some problems due to that concussion that I, so stupidly tried to ignore, and it reared its ugly head back in there. So, I had to undergo a CAT scan, and then was ordered to do an MRI and an EEG and all sorts of stuff to further examine the head injury that I'm currently being faced with. But as of now, I'm just keeping a very positive attitude. Like I said with you guys, you have to try to see the positives in everything. Try to make the best out of situations that aren't always very fun. So just waiting for the news as of now.
Mm. Did you know that you had a concussion then? Dave Prazak was talking about it, and he said that it happened during the match with Yumi Oka on volume 44. I mean, how soon afterwards did you know that this might be a concussion?
I was feeling like loopy the whole rest of the night, at the Shimmer after party and everything. I just felt really strange and had a headache for about like 3 or 4 days, and afterwards, and I knew something was up, but I've had concussions before, and I've just kind of like let them pass, and it's been okay. But I mean, as we're seeing nowadays, it's not something to like mess with and ignore. It's something pretty, very serious. So, I was pretty certain that night that I had a concussion, but I just never, I just assumed there's not much that I can do if I go get it checked. There's not really anything more than just rest that I think the doctor's orders would be. So I just kind of tried to ignore it. But
so you've had all these scans and tests and so on, and then you said you're sort of waiting for some final verdicts and so on. But have you had any information back so far as regards to how severe the concussion is, or otherwise? I was told that it was pretty severe, which is why the doctor that I went to see, the neurological doctor, was very adamant about me staying out of the ring for the near future, at least. I don't know any like real concrete information regarding how the scans looked or anything like that. I'll find out tomorrow actually. But
don't think it looked good, which is why I think he was so insistent on getting the tests done and following up and everything.
Well, I talked to you I talked to you just before, the day before you were having your EEG, or the night before, I suppose, and you were having you had to do your sleep deprivation, as you were telling me, which meant that I spent 4.5 hours talking to you online to try and keep you awake, which was a job in itself. But apparently, you said that's the fact that you were so sleep deprived actually helped out in your EEG. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I actually, I had read about it when we were talking the night before. I had read about it and just read about why they ask you to be sleep deprived and what the benefits are and what to expect when you do the test sleep deprived. I was ordered to do the EEG and the MRI sleep deprived because they can measure different different parts of your brain and activities of your brain when you're sleep deprived and sleeping. And the whole point of being sleep deprived for the EEG is they hope that you'll actually fall asleep during the test, which actually happened to me. So, when I woke up, the man administering the test was pretty happy that I had fallen asleep because he said that he was able to get some really good readings from my brain. Your brain is just always different. So
all this brain talk just sounds scary. I mean,
it does, doesn't it?
Did you feel scared when you were having the EEG or the MRI?
The MRI, yes. I mean, the EEG, like I said, I was actually asleep for all but 10 minutes of it.
Nice.
Yeah, which was really nice. I woke up but as soon as I woke up, he decided he had to ask me questions say the alphabet backwards and stuff like that. And I was so
I couldn't do that even if I was wide awake.
I know, I was so groggy, and I was like, Z, Y. I was actually nervous. I was like, I hope I get this right. But, the EEG was a breeze, quick and painless and fine. And then the MRI was a little bit, that was just really, I'm not claustrophobic by normal standards or whatever, but being in that machine, whoever's had an MRI would probably say the same thing. It's just you're so confined in that space, and it's just really unpleasant. So that was a little bit of I hope to not really have to go back in an MRI machine too often in my life.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's one of those things where wrestlers do tend to get concussions and so on every so often when they are unfortunate. Did you have any friends, or have you had friends in the past who've had concussions, and were you able to draw on any of their experiences to kind of help you through?
Yeah, I actually heard from quite a few people, when the news kind of came out after I had issued that statement about having to cancel some shows and take some time off. And a couple people actually contacted me that had been through really similar things and offered some really valuable advice. And I really appreciated that. And also was, pointed in the direction of some really crucial resources and just, people have been very helpful in offering advice and offering support and everything. So I was very fortunate in that sense.
I mean, physically, how do you feel now?
Now, I honestly feel really, really good. Most of the symptoms that I had over the past month, kind of the fogginess and the memory loss and all that stuff, have really diminished, almost to nothing. I feel sharp again. I feel good. The pain in my head.
Recite the alphabet backwards. I'm kidding.
That is very challenging, actually. But yeah, I feel really good, and I'm really, like I said, I feel really positive, and I'm hoping for the best with this follow-up appointment, and I really think I'm going to get some good news. But at the same time, as much as I, want to wrestle tomorrow, I'm this was kind of a little bit of a wake-up call, because I've been pushing so hard for so long, and I just never really give myself a break. I kind of have that, like, personality, I don't know, of just always going, and never really slowing down. So this was kind of like a wake-up call in that sense. So I definitely my body was trying to tell me something, something like just slow down for a little bit. So I'm going to allow myself some recovery time for sure,
Obviously, you've pulled out a couple of wrestling shows, and we'll talk about those in a couple of minutes. But as far as your regular workout routine and so on, is that been affected by this as well? Can you work out, or are you really just having some time completely away from that at the minute?
Time completely away from that. I was advised to not do anything, that would get my heart rate up or whatever. So, like, just walking a little bit is about the extent of it. I can't really do anything that gets my blood pumping right now. So it's basically just been rest, Which...
Well, considering you're so busy all the time, that must have been absolute hell for you.
Yeah, definitely was.
What have you been doing to keep busy then?
I have been a major bum. No, I've actually been having a lot of fun, doing some home repairs. Kind of been, self-teaching with the help of a store, over here, Home Depot, which is, I've gotten, lost in that store for hours at a time over the past month, just, like infatuated with home repairs. So, become a total nerd in that sense. But it's been fun. I've been I redid the tiles and on the walls in my house and all this stuff. So that's been fun. And I have been, I'm almost caught up on one of my favorite shows, Dexter. And I've almost caught up. I totally stopped watching it years ago just because I was so busy. I didn't have time really. And so I've caught up, and absolutely just amazing. I love it.
Beware everyone, Serena is now a dab hand with grout.
Yes.
See, I know what grout is.
Grout, I know how to use it.
And that's another t-shirt.
I have grout and I know how to use it.
Exactly,
says Serena Deeb. That's going to be the headline of the podcast, clearly.
Hell yeah.
As far as your life is concerned, obviously that's taken a big change now because of this. I'm assuming, and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything comes back fine on the MRI and all that sort of stuff, and you get the okay to return to the ring in however long it's going to be. Has this been any kind of wake-up call as far as maybe the style that you've been wrestling? Will you be maybe trying to alter anything going forward, or is it too early to say?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, the thing is that, I've always been a believer in in never half-assing it, just always going really hard and and that has been on my side for the most part. It's brought me really amazing things and made me successful and allowed me a lot of opportunities to go, for instance, to Japan and just do amazing things. But at the same time, longevity in your career wise, I think there does come a point where it's kind of I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's going to change the way that I view things and that I approach wrestling. But I definitely have realized that I just need to take a little bit better care of myself, and
you're not indestructible, basically.
Yeah. As much as I would love to believe so,
yeah,
I'm not.
So, I mean, as far as the shows then that you had to pull out of, I mean, one of them, funnily enough, was a Chikara show that ended up being cancelled after all due to weather issues. What were your hopes? I mean, were you looking forward to returning to Chikara?
Well, yeah, that was actually going to be my very first appearance with them. I have never wrestled for Chikara before, so I was really excited. I mean, of course, I was ecstatic to be, wrestling Sarah Del Rey again, because it's been years now. So that, there were a lot of things I was really excited about regarding that show, and that definitely sucked to have to cancel that show. That is crazy that it was canceled due to weather, though.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I hope. I mean, it's probably maybe again too early to say, but would it be something where presumably once you're fit and ready to go, that match will happen anyway? I'd like to hope.
I definitely hope so. I mean, I'm keeping up with them, with their product, and just keeping them in the loop as much as I am everybody else regarding my status, and once I'm good to go, once I'm cleared, I can almost guarantee that match will happen.
What do you think of Chikara then?
I think it's awesome. It's so different. I mean, it's got a really unique product. I actually just received some of their DVDs to watch those and catch up on what they've been doing and everything. So I mean, I think it's just, it's kind of like a mixture of everything. Like, it has all of like the entertainment aspects of it, and the funny, like the interesting characters and everything, but it's also got really, really talented wrestlers and really, really good wrestling. So I mean, kind of get the best of all worlds there.
Yeah, they walk a very thin line between, the really funny sort of strange stuff out of, and the big sort of like characters and so on, and yeah, as you say, some really great matches as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a big love as well of women's wrestling as well. I mean, obviously they've got Joshi Mania coming up in December, but they've produced quite a lot of top quality stuff this past year. With the likes of Del Rey and Madison Eagles as well. In fact, speaking of Madison Eagles, there's someone else at the minute who's out on the disabled list as well, with a few issues as well. So we need you guys to come back stronger and faster than before. I think it's what we need.
Yeah, that's too bad. Sent her out some wishes last week, or no, a couple days ago, I think. But again, just sending my best to her. She's just a phenomenal person, a phenomenal wrestler, everything. So I'm praying for her recovery as well. And, it's just, things happen. I mean, again, things happen for a reason. So, sometimes there's just things that we don't see, the things that are not in clear sight, as far as understanding why things happen, but there's always a reason. Just sometimes it's harder to find.
Sure. The biggest profile match that you had to pull out of was your WSU match with Melina, coming up on their iPay-per-view later this month, in fact. Again, they seem to be right there with you, saying that we accept that's the problem, and we'll still bring her out to the show anyway. So you're still going to be there for the show, but you won't get a chance to wrestle. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I will be there, and I'll have some more information regarding, my recovery and all that as far as time period goes and whatnot. So I will be updating everybody with whatever I know, and, keeping everybody informed. But yeah, that was a match that I was, I've been excited about since the day that that match was made, which was many, many months ago. And so it's been something, you always have like that. It's always good to have something to look forward to. And that was definitely like one of those matches for me that I was just really like, I always had it kind of in the back of my mind, like, okay, Melina matches in 3 months, Melina matches in 2 months, Melina matches in, and then, so having to cancel that was definitely a little bit of a bummer, But again, that's another match that I think, that regardless of what happened with this show, with the November 19th show, I believe that people will still want to see it. So, So I definitely think that that's something that people can look forward to seeing in the future. Again, when I'm well again, that's a match that I would love to see happen just as much as I think people would.
Had you spoken to Melina about it? Like, you thought about because like it sounds like you've been thinking about the match for a while as well. Had you been sort of going over anything, or do you have any ideas about what you were going to do?
Not really. I know. I mean, we hadn't spoken to that extent, but I know that we were both really excited about it. We had the extent of our in-ring activity together has been so small. I mean, literally, like, we got in the ring a few times, maybe at FCW, and maybe a few times, on the road, but never like had a match together in front of a crowd or anything like that. So, I mean, we've been looking forward to it, but, yeah, so I don't know, but again, she's still gonna have, the opportunity to wrestle somebody that's really talented. Most of the girls at WSU are really talented, so I think it's still going to come out well. I'm excited.
I'm thinking 5th anniversary show on March the 3rd might be in the diary.
Yeah, right? That sounds good to me. Hopefully it sounds good to my doctor.
Yeah, that's the most important guy at the minute, actually, let's be honest.
Yeah.
What do you make of Melina as a performer? Obviously you've been in the same promotion as her for a while, but have you had much of a chance to see her wrestle? What do you reckon of her as her style?
I just, I've always thought very highly of Melina, from when I first arrived at OVW, and Eminem was actually just going on the road and starting, on TV, and I was just, really, my first impression of her was just super charismatic. When she came out through the curtain, I just felt like there was a star in the room. The way she carried herself, just everything from the way she walked to just everything about her just screamed superstar to me. And, it proved true. She, in the past 10 years or so of women's wrestling, there's very few women that have done what she's done. And in terms of in the ring, she's great. I think she's a great performer. I think she's smart. She's good at incorporating and working the crowd. And I really think that she pretty much has all the bases covered as far as a performer goes.
What do you think's in her future as far as back on the indies again? When you left WWE or were released from WWE, you really embraced the opportunity to go out there and wrestle around the world and stuff. Do you think that's something that she's going to do as well, or do you think at the minute she's maybe just testing the water and see how it feels for her?
I would say she's probably testing the water. Honestly, it's an open book. It can be whatever she wants it to be. Obviously, however much she wants to do is there for her. Because I'm sure there's just tons of people that would love to have Melina, come in and wrestle for them. But, she's worked really hard for a really long time, and she's deserving of some time away if she wants that, or if she doesn't, then so be it. I think that the WSU show, I think it's smart for her to be selective right now, because she's, her value is really, really high. The WSU show will be a good opportunity for her to, test the waters even more and see if this is something that, because wrestling on the indies is not for everybody. And, not everybody enjoys it. I personally have a blast. I love wrestling, on the indies, and I know a lot of people do, but, I know a lot of people that don't too. So the thing is that, Melina, has experience on the indies. It's not like she's never been there. So, it's just going to be a little change, it's different environment, but it's awesome, like there's a lot more freedom, and it's just, it could go either way at this point.
Sure. Well, we've talked a bit about the stuff that you've missed out on, and I guess this kind of is a little bit along the same kind of route, but it's also talking about you as well. It's last time we spoke to you was about a year ago. You'd just come back to Shimmer, and it was you'd just come out of WWE, and since then there's been a couple of people who've spoken about you and your time in WWE. Mickie James, for example, she said that you didn't really get enough of a run in WWE. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? How far down the road had you sort of mentally planned to go?
Definitely, farther than what happened. I mean, I really felt like I, had something really special to offer, and I still feel that way, I think that I was very different, and, still am very different, and will always be very different than anything that they had. So I definitely envisioned a lot more. But, it just, again, everything happens for a reason, and timing is everything, and it just wasn't the timing. I still had a lot of growing up, a lot of maturing, a lot of experiences to experience in my life, and I'm actually, I'm able to see it differently now. Now that it's been quite some time now than I did at the time, and I'm actually grateful because the experiences that I've had since have just been absolutely unmatchable. And things that, I dreamed of, before signing with WWE. During my time there, I thought about, for instance, wrestling in Japan. It was always, some of the things that I've gotten to do this year have just been things that I just always dreamed of and, promised myself I had to do. And so I'm actually incredibly grateful for the way things happen, because it really has allowed me to do some of the growth that I needed.
You mentioned Japan a couple of times already in the interview, and I think it's probably just as well if we sort of move on to that now, because it's clearly something that you feel very positive about. But, I mean, your times in Japan this past year working for Smash, how different has it been, or how difficult has it been, I suppose, to adjust to Japanese culture and that whole different style over there?
I guess at first it was a little bit, I don't know. The thing is I was familiar, with the Japanese market and, what they like and what the crowd's like and things like that. So, I mean, I went over there with a little bit of knowledge, but it definitely got easier as my visits progressed and everything. Each visit has just been better and better because I've been more comfortable, and definitely feel like each time I've learned even more. So, it's each trip has been more and more successful in that sense, and I've been more and more comfortable every time. So, yeah.
I mean, successful is certainly one way you can rate it, because you went on a massive tear in Smash, and you went unbeaten for quite a while, beating people like Suri, Makoto, Kana a couple of times, Tomoka Nakagawa, and eventually getting to the Smash Diva title tournament finals. Did it surprise you that you got such a vote of confidence from the people in Smash to give you that push right to the top right from the start?
I wouldn't say surprised. I mean, it was a huge compliment, and it was, it really meant a lot to me that they expressed that confidence in me. And I mean, they definitely gave me, a great spot and a great push. So I was very grateful for that. And it also kind of like raised the personal bar that I had set for myself, because I knew that being given that opportunity was, I had to deliver, like, even more so than ever before. And so that was also really, really good in helping me, like, push myself and all that.
I mean, did you feel that you sort of stepped up to maybe what they thought you were capable of, and what you yourself thought you were capable of doing there?
Yeah, I do. I mean, definitely. It went from, my first visit in January of this year, so almost a year, 10 months ago. It went from, going over there and saying, okay, well, this is going to be an amazing experience, and then to being invited back, and then being invited back again, and then being invited back again, and then it went from one visit to 5 in a 9-month span, or an 8-month span, actually. And that was just amazing. It was truly amazing.
I think you got to wrestle pretty much all of the regulars, or most of the regulars on Smash. Who did you find you had most chemistry with?
That's actually tough, because my matches with Kana are really special just because of like the investment in the storyline that was being given to us, and just kind of the magnitude of the matches. Like, we had the championship match and the match leading up to it, and I think the fans and anybody who's involved in the Smash product were just really involved in my stuff with Kana. So that was like, it just had a special feeling. But at the same time, I really I've loved all my matches that I've had over there for Smash. There hasn't been one match that I haven't thoroughly enjoyed. I really, really like wrestling Shuri. I think she's super talented. And same with Makoto and Nakagawa. Like, they're all awesome. That's the thing, is the girls in Japan are just, there's a different approach to training there, and they are all awesome. So I love going over there.
Closer to home as well, you had you sort of expanded a little bit in the States. You debuted in ACW at the start of this year as well, and sort of ended up in a sort of mini feud with Amanda Fox. Now I've seen a little bit of Amanda Fox now from Queen of Queens as well, and she just seems like again another person who's just really, really talented.
Yes, absolutely. I've actually been asked about like in interviews and such about young talent that I just really see good things happening for, in my opinion. And Amanda Fox is always one that I mention because, she has a really good attitude. She's a really sweet girl, and she has a very good outlook. She's obviously you can tell by one's progression, kind of what their attitude is and what their approach to learning is, and her progression has just been so quick and so, vast, I guess. Like she's really shown great improvements very quickly.
It's scary that she's that good at 19 as well.
It is, right? I mean, she's so talented. And she just plays her character so well. I mean, she really, gets people to hate her. So yeah, I mean, I really see really good things happening for her.
Another of the young talents that's been sort of associated with you of late was at the last Shimmer Tippings, and that's Davina Rose, where you kind of played a bit of a mentor figure to her on the shows. A lot of people have said that Davina's kind of like you 3-4 years ago. I know Dave Prazak even said that to us. I mean, what do you think of that? Do you see a lot of yourself in Davina?
I really do. It's kind of scary, actually. Like, and watching her matches at Shimmer, like, I mean, everything from, like, the way she plays up to the crowd, the moves specifically that she does, the way she wrestles, the way she moves, everything, like, is a lot. I see a lot of myself in her, and I did from the first time I saw her. So yeah, I really do, and it is kind of scary, but it's really cool too. And she's another one. She has such a great attitude. She's such a sweetheart, and I'll do anything I can to help her. She's great.
Did she specifically try and, I mean, does she use you as a template to kind of emulate a little bit in her style, or is that been something that's been kind of like just a strange coincidence?
Well, she did kind of say that she has watched my stuff and chosen to kind of emulate me a little bit. So, I mean, I would think it's probably a mixture of both, like you can't, I mean, the thing is that there's only so much, like, as far as like movement in the ring, I mean, you can practice and try to change things, but people just move a certain way, it could be, a mixture of factors, what sports you played before, or, if you were an athlete before, or, anything like that. So, it's kind of like, I don't know, you can't really like change the way people move very much, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I think it has been, just a unique coincidence.
That's cool, and I say she had a pretty awesome first weekend at Shimmer, coming straight into the main show as well, and having some great matches across the weekend. You're one to talk. You had some great matches across Shimmer weekend as well, not least of which no holds barred match with Portia Perez in Volume 43, which was just an incredible match. To a certain extent, I'd say that, you're kind of like probably the best babyface in Shimmer, and she's kind of like the best heel. So it just seems like that was the match that you guys were always going to have at some point.
Yeah, she is amazing. That match was, like something that had been built for a really long time. And, I mean, we knew that like the quote unquote blow off match was gonna have to be something like special. I think we definitely like have both been thinking about it for a long time, and had a lot of personal investment in the match. So, I mean, I knew that it was gonna be crazy, which it was, and I knew that we were gonna have to do some crazy stuff, but yeah, it was awesome, and yeah, she's a phenomenal performer, Portia. She's amazing.
I was just going to say thanks very much for pointing out the look of sort of bewilderment / fear that was on my face when you did your spear from the table as well. I think that kind of just that kind of encapsulated just my feeling all the way through the match. It's like, oh my god, these people are going to die.
Yeah, there's actually been a couple really funny photos that have emerged from that show. There was another one that I just saw recently too with Shanti and her side of the crowd, which is, the other side of the crowd from where you guys were sitting. And it was after the German suplex that Madison gave me from the top rope.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have seen the picture, but it is so funny. I cannot look at it without laughing because everyone in the crowd has like a different expression, but everyone has a really funny expression. You just have to see it. I don't know. I probably sound crazy. It is really funny if you actually look at it. It's so
We're going to have to root this picture out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, I'll post it or something, but it's really worth checking out. It's very funny. But
here's a little story for you, actually, just as far as you and Portia and the emotional investment that people had in that match. Whether you remember or not, I don't know, but there was a moment outside the ring where you put Portia's arms over the guardrail just in front of where I was sitting, and you instructed me to hold her arms while you gave her a chop. And I immediately grabbed her arms really tightly because I was so invested in it. I was thinking, we've got a fight going on here. And then I kind of thought, hang on, it's a work. And I eased up a little bit. But I was so emotionally involved with it that at that moment I was watching a real fight. That was how I felt about it. So I think it's probably as high a compliment as I can give. As it felt real.
Oh, well, thank you. That is a big compliment.
Well, last time as well, during the interview that nobody will ever hear, we talked a little bit about your win-loss record in Shimmer, and it just so happens.
Yeah, believe it or not, actually, a friend of ours who was clearly very bored at work one day managed to knock up a complete Shimmer win-loss record, and it turns out that you're actually 16-15 in Shimmer for a 0.52 win-loss record. This is not good enough.
Wow.
You are the queen of parity booking.
Yeah, well, I think the 15 probably came in my first 15 matches.
That might be true as well, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's hilarious though. That makes me feel kind of old.
Well, you are a veteran.
A lot of matches. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I don't mean like funny. You're sitting around with a cane and talking about old war stories or anything like that. Although I guess that's what this is, quite frankly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? It's kind of turned into that.
Way to out the podcast then. Let me ask you a question then. It's clear from talking to you now and from talking to you in after parties and outside the ring environment, you're a really nice person to talk to. Literally everyone in the world seems to think you're the nicest person that's ever lived. No, I'm not going to argue that. But when you're out in front of the crowd, you've got an intensity that is like no other. When you come out through the crowd, you've just got this. You seem to take on a completely different personality. It's how difficult is it to turn that on and turn that off when you go out to wrestle?
I mean, it's really, I don't know. It's not difficult. It's just natural. I've always kind of like, felt that however much intensity you bring will translate and will kind of rub off on people. Everybody from the opponent to the crowd to, anybody involved really. And I just think that people can really feel that. So it's always been a goal of mine to always have that and always bring that. So, it's really not difficult. I mean, it's just kind of like, I don't know, I guess it's kind of like a switch that just goes on when I come out.
I tell you, it's interesting you say you think it's something natural because, there are loads of wrestlers, both male and female, but especially quite a few female wrestlers that could really do with ramping that, that intensity up another few notches really in some of their matches. Do you see that in some of the younger wrestlers that probably just need to sort of find that switch? And have you ever managed to help anyone kind of turn it on?
Again, I feel just that when you're wrestling somebody that, if someone's kind of blah or whatever, it kind of that energy kind of rubs off on you. But when someone's really into it and really excited and really, fiery and stuff, that energy rubs off on you. So, I've always tried to if I'm wrestling, someone younger or less experienced or whatever, I've always tried to be maybe a little bit extra intense in that sense, just to help bring that out of them. Cause, I'm by no means perfect, at all. I'm far from it, but I have been through many phases of my career so far. And, at one point I was kind of shy, to bring that side out of me. And it took, great trainers as well as experience and, also really, more experienced opponents to help bring that out of me. So I think that's an interesting aspect of wrestling as well. So I've just always tried to help bring that out of whoever I'm wrestling.
You say you're not perfect. I'm sure some people would disagree, but as far as you're concerned, as a performer yourself, when you look out on all the wrestling talent out there, the female wrestling talent out there, who's the closest to perfect?
That's hard. That's a hard question. I cannot speak highly enough of Sarah Del Rey. I think I mention her in every interview that I do just because she, to me, is, just so incredibly talented. It's actually unbelievable. Sarah, she's better than most guys. Honestly, 99% of guys, she's better than them. So I can never speak more highly than of anybody than Sarah. Also, of course, Madison is definitely up there. Madison Eagles, she's another one that just kind of has everything. All facets of being an amazing performer.
Del Rey is so good that even the Bellas tweeted about her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they was why is this woman not in WWE yet?
Yeah, she's incredible.
Question for you now, and it's something that I kind of got a sense of during the last Shimmer weekend, and this might be a bit of a long rambling question, but I'll try and make a point out of it. You'd recently tweeted, and you were actually selling it by tens of a picture of you on a beach with your new body, where you've been working out like a crazy woman for a while, and you were looking like $1 million, and you had this, as I was just talking about, this incredible intensity when you were out wrestling, and to me, you really sort of gave off the impression that you were someone who, you've had your time in WWE, you had your maturation to do by going off and doing the indies again. I kind of got the impression that you were kind of almost saying to the world, right, I've done it, I've walked the earth, I've done what I needed to do, I'm ready to get to the big dance again. Is that something that's in your mind, at the front of your mind, or is that something that's kind of just at the back of your mind, where if it happens, it happens, if it doesn't, it doesn't?
I'd say somewhere in between. The thing is that, I've been it's been no secret since, you know, my very first time ever stepping in the ring, which was at OVW, that, you know, I've been in love with WWE for, you know, my entire, you know, life, pretty much. It was all I thought about, all I dreamed about for a really, really, really long time. And of course I still think about it. But, like you said, I knew that I had more growth to do and more experiences to have, and just things that were like really, what's the word? Just things that were
essential for you to do.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Exactly. It's very essential, and I still believe that there's more things that I really want to and need to do. And so, I mean, that's why I say it's somewhere in the middle, is because I still do think about it, and it's always going to be in my mind and in my heart. But I honestly, 2011, the experiences I've had this year and all the traveling and everything, I have had more fun this year. I mean, you know, in a wrestling sense, in just, I mean, all the, like I said, the travel and everything has just been so amazing. And if that continues, you know, into next year and going forward, then, I mean, no, I don't know, that makes me pretty happy, you know. So I don't know. I think that, I kind of stopped, like, having so many expectations and things like that. I sort of just started to embrace, you know, like, enjoying the moment and enjoying the things that I'm so blessed to be able to do, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember I joked to Lee at the time, when we were sitting ringside at Shimmer, where you were selling your bikini shots from the beach, and I was saying we should buy one and put it in an envelope and address it to John Laurinaitis, WWE, Stamford, Connecticut, and you'd probably get signed in a week. But you know, it's an option. It's there, you know. So
actually, just thinking about that photo a little bit more, because quite frankly, who hasn't? The photo that you're in, like, we're talking about your physical condition. What have you changed? What's your physical regimen these days? I mean, obviously not right now, because you're concussed and you're not doing anything. But I mean, before that. God, that went well, didn't it?
Yeah, well done.
Well, I don't know. Like, I've gotten really, really into yoga over the past year or so. It was always something that I kind of like knew I should do. Like, I should do yoga. You know, I need to, you know, for my body, for my back, and like all sorts of things. I knew that it was going to be really good for me, but I kind of just never did it, you know. And then one day it was just like, all right, I just have to like try it. And then I got hooked. Like, I mean, there are very few things in my life that I'm as passionate about as I am with wrestling. And yoga, you know, was up there. You know, it came into my life, and I just really was like, wow, this is so positive for me. And so, I mean, the results were just, you know, instant. Just completely instant. It completely changed my body. And it changed the way I felt too, you know, like I just felt so much better. A lot of the aches and pains kind of started to diminish. So that became pretty much a regular thing for me. And, you know, the past few months, I just haven't gotten the chance to practice like I've wanted to. So once I'm given the green light for that, that's going to be something that I jump right back into as well.
One would think that yoga would be something that would be quite good for someone in a situation like yourself, because it is quite relaxing and calming.
Absolutely. Well, that's the specific type of yoga that I, really fell for is actually the Bikram yoga.
I thought you were going to say that.
You did?
Yeah, we spoke to Rain about this last year. She was talking about the Bikram yoga as well, and just the intense heat of it.
I know. I know that she really likes it as well. We've had this conversation as well. It's just amazing. I mean, it's so detoxing, and so the heat really. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to the heat, but it's awesome. So if that's something that I might have to hold off on for a while, just because of the the heart rate fluctuations that go on in that class. It's a 90-minute class of 105 degrees, so it's pretty intense. So that level of intensity would be something I would have to be a little bit more cautious of right now. But as far as, there's many other types of yoga that are a little bit more relaxing, a little bit more focused on breathing and things like that. So I would see no problem in returning to something like that.
Well, seeing as we're talking about looking into the future once you get the all clear, but we talked about possibly you doing the match with Melina at WSU next March. Also next March, you've been announced to be wrestling in Femme Fatale up in Canada.
Yeah, that's right.
Is it true that instead of Stefan Brea coming to you, you went to him?
Yeah, I did. Well, it's kind of funny. Like, we've always kind of talked to each other at Shimmer and, interacted and talked to, thrown around the idea of me coming to Canada and everything. And then it just never really, it never really came to fruition. So, a lot of the girls that do the wrestle at the Femme Fatale shows are, good friends of mine and people that I love to wrestle. So yeah, I did, actually approach him and say, I'm really interested in coming up there. And I actually really enjoy Canada too. I've always had a really nice time every time I visited there. So chance to wrestle people that I love, go to Canada and, win-win situation.
Yeah, way to play hard to get there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And what about Japan going forward as well? Presumably that's still in your mindset.
That is number one in my mindset, actually. That's just going to be a matter of when I'm cleared, and then hopefully I can get back over there as soon as possible. That's, definitely don't want my momentum there to slow down, because it's just, like I said earlier, I just absolutely love going there so much. It's incredible.
Have you been keeping your eye on Smash?
Absolutely.
So Tomoka Nakagawa against Kana is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
Yeah, that will be a good one as well. I think we can all expect to see an awesome match. What else could we see from those two?
She raises a fair point, Stu.
It's a fair point. Yeah, I was thinking actually, but before we let you go, we should have a quick chat about Kana. In fact, because you're someone who's obviously got personal first-hand experience of working with her a couple of times. She's made her US debut this year. You can expect to get the Shimmer DVDs with her on it coming up, hopefully before the end of the year. And the Chikara shows with her on it are already out. She's got someone who has got a very different style as well, very technical, but also quite unique in the way that she applies moves and the way she wrestles. What sort of opinions have you got on her style, and is there anybody you've come across who's just as technically adept as she is?
Well, she does have a really interesting style. Anyone that's been to Japan and gotten the chance to go to the dojos, for instance, and see how they train would kind of, see where that comes from a little more. They definitely do a lot more like grappling type practices and things like that, and exercises and what have you. And I mean, I think she just really has a lot of those skills in her toolbox, like the strikes and like her kicks and everything. It's just, she's very technically sound in that sense. And as far as anyone like her, I mean, she's different than anybody I've ever seen, from everything, from her look. I think it's awesome that she wrestles barefoot. I think that's really, really cool. You don't see that often at all. It's very different. And her wrestling style is just, I mean, she honestly, like, I actually learned a lot from her in both matches that we had. She's just technically a dictionary. I mean, she literally, can get in and out of every move, every submission, everything. She literally knows, everything that every situation that she would be put in, she could get through it. You know what I mean?
She knows a counter to every counter, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Does that make it easier or harder to wrestle someone like that then? Because you mentioned the style's a bit different, but because it's somebody who is so adept, does that mean you have to maybe have a different mindset as to how you wrestle someone like that?
Well, I just think you need to be open-minded in anywhere that you go. But I don't necessarily think that, I don't know, like, it's just, I think you need to approach it like, respecting and acknowledging different styles, and I don't always think that you have to, like, match someone's style. I actually think that one of the coolest things is when you see, like, two styles clash, or, two different styles come into one and bringing out the best in each other. I definitely don't think that, just because you're wrestling someone and they have a different style, that you have to wrestle just like them. I think that that individuality, is one of the best things, and one of the, as a wrestling fan my whole life, I've always thought it really interesting to see like two people wrestle that were so different. So, yeah.
Lee, anything else?
Do you know what? I think I have asked pretty much everything that I could ever possibly need to know at this moment in time.
We're so glad, by the way, that you're feeling so much better, and feel very certain that you're hopefully going to get some good news soon with regards to your various scans and so on. Please keep us up to date with whatever information you get from that, so we can let people know.
Absolutely will, and thank you for saying that. I do appreciate it, guys.
Just one last thing as well. If anybody's listening to this and is wondering about all the other aspects of Serena's life and career and things like that, the original interview with Serena is still available for download at ringbellsonline.com. Just go to the front page, click on the Women of Wrestling podcast logo, and it's in there as well. So you can have even more Serena Deeb in your life.
Yeah.
There you go.
And who doesn't want that, quite frankly?
Okay, well,